All right, welcome everybody to the Conway Public Forum on Streetlights. Since we have two members here of the Select Board, I will call the meeting to order. Sustainability Committee?
Yeah, I'm going to take over from here. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. I'm Beth Gershman. I'm the co-chair of the Sustainability Committee, and I'm here with most of my fellow members, Sia Stewart, Jody Lally, and Pam Westgate. And I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. People, this meeting is also on Zoom, and it's being recorded. So I just want to also mention to everyone who's on Zoom, please be sure to mute yourselves right now. Thanks. So I just want to take a moment to draw everyone's attention to this slide, which is kind of keep this in your mind. It's the worst case scenario with LED bulbs. And this is a light that was replaced on Orchard Street a few weeks ago. Was it?
I'm sorry, this actual photo is on Maple.
This is on Maple.
It was a replacement by Eversource from a phosphorus to a 147 watt LED bulb.
Okay, so just keep that in mind. Do you want to show us the next slide picture from your inside your house?
So they replaced the bulb in front of my house as well. This is where I sleep. This was at night. So shining, it was what, 2-3 days?
Yeah.
Shining in from my house. So as you can see, it looks like it's daylight outside.
So just hold that in your mind. So several years ago, you can go to slide 1 on our presentation, which is that one. Yeah. Several years ago, our select board realized that Eversource planned to replace all street light bulbs with LEDs in a region-wide effort to save energy, which is admirable, really. Unfortunately, the LEDs that Eversource provides for free, now you can go to slide 2, are far from ideal. There's only one type of bulb available. It's high wattage, it's intense bright light, and it's on the blue side of the color spectrum. The select board asked our committee to look into other options with the intention and goal of saving energy, town money, and improving the quality of town-wide streetlights by switching to LED bulbs and eliminating unnecessary lights. Proposed lights will comply with best practices for safety and visibility as well as energy efficiency. Tonight, I'm going to briefly speak to the option we are recommending. Following that, Chris will share more about the process of identifying lights to be eliminated in town. And so the rules of the road tonight are, after both of us finish, there's going to be time for questions and answers. Please raise your hand and state your name and address. Sia is taking minutes for this meeting for our all good intents and purposes. If you've already spoken, please wait until everyone has had a chance to speak. Zoom participants, please put your questions into the chat and somebody will be monitoring that. This is an information section where we're taking public comments. The final decision on what lights to keep, remove, or alter is ultimately up to our select board. Public comments are taken into consideration, but the final decision-making is based on the objective goals that started this entire process a number of years ago. We've been at this for a while, haven't we? Sustainability. Can you go to slide 3? So LEDs are preferred for street lighting and would be installed by Eversource over time, but the members of our committee are recommending an entirely different type of LED bulb than what they can show you. So this is just a slide showing what you all know, that a certain kind of lighting is pretty terrible. It's all over the place. Some is less terrible. Then there's a better option, and then the best option is when you can really shield, you can really dim, and it's really directed to where you want it to be. Slide 4. So there's a variety of things that we took into account when we considered some options for different kinds of bulbs than what Eversource could provide. The ability to be shielded the ability to change the color temperature, so from the bright light to a warmer temperature, the intensity of it, so the wattage. So what Chris showed you, shining into his home, was a very high type of wattage with a color intensity that's blue. And then the timing of it. Can you change the time, how long the lights are on? The warmer color temperature and the ability to effectively shield against glare and to dim are not offered with the Eversource option. Our committee determined that switching to Eversource LEDs will save energy, but not money, because there's actually a significant per light monthly charge. And we're not going to get deep into financial details here at all, but you just have to trust us. There's a significant per light monthly charge if you went to the free Eversource lights. Okay, wherever we are, it's like, oh, so yeah. Oh, we're on slide 5. Are we on 5? Okay, good, that's fine. See this little thing up here? Our committee recommendation is to purchase light fixtures and to lower the wattage, lower Kelvin range, shieldable and dimmable LED bulbs. So to purchase all those things ourselves. Maintain them locally and save both energy and money. Over 100 Massachusetts towns, including Hadley, Sunderland, and Shelburne, have chosen to purchase their own fixtures when converting to LEDs. So we brought this Cooper light fixture to show people. The Shelburne folks very kindly loaned this to us. They are much farther along in the process than we are. We owe a lot to them. They've been incredibly generous with their research and their assistance.
Do you want to pass it around?
It's heavy. I mean, if
Anybody wants to see it?
If anyone wants to
No?
see it, you can look at it later, but this is a fixture. I'm just going to show you actually. Yeah, can you actually just lift it up? My lovely assistant, Nick. Thank you very much, Blanchard, our town administrator. This fixture, show the bottom, yeah.
Oh, show the bottom.
So this fixture has a way, the other side.
The other-
Yeah.
Okay, what shines on you?
What shines on you. So it has a place where you can attach metal shields that will shield in particular directions or not. But even if you didn't attach the metal shields, because it has this little rim right here at the front, at the very front where those lights are,
These?
yeah, that little rim enough actually helps direct
just shielding.
direct the light downward. So, are we on slide? So this is a loaner from Shelburne. They're going ahead with this project in the spring. There's also a way to this particular fixture is called a Cooper. It comes from a particular manufacturer. There's a couple towns in Massachusetts that are already using these. One of these is Pepperell. We did not go to Pepperell to see them in action, but Shelburne folks did. So again, thank you, Shelburne, for leading the way here. And there's a way to attach a way to dim lights to this one as well. Is there anything that you all have to add as I'm going along? Feel free to raise your hand and say you forgot something essential here. So, are we on slide 7 still?
Beth,
6.
can I just add, we
Yes.
haven't selected a particular.
No.
Yeah.
We have not. We have not selected anything yet. We're. That's right. Thank you. Yeah. There's an upfront cost to these options, and we're applying for a state-funded Green Communities grant to cover much of that. And the grant deadline is April 4th. Available town funding may be used as a match for this grant, and we will be likely asking town meeting for funds for the buyback of current Eversource fixtures, which is required for this grant-funded project through Green Communities. This is just another lovely example of what you can expect with different kinds of Kelvin ranges. The one that probably Chris was subjected to was 4,000. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Is it possible to have that full screen?
It's the presenter view I couldn't find.
Presentation mode, just start.
Slideshow.
presentation mode.
All the way to the left on my one, yeah.
Let's see if that does it. There we
Oh,
go.
that's nice. Thank you.
Oops. Wait,
That's not it, is it?
Well, that's back to the beginning. So maybe you could go to slide 7.
Sorry, this is not my computer.
Just click the arrow.
Got it.
Back to Chris's house.
Not that we're seeing.
It's okay.
Apologize. No, that's not it.
Go back.
All right, PowerPoint.
It's okay. Maybe not. Sorry.
I would maybe stop, oh, there you go.
Hanging in the sweet. Isn't it neat? Sweet. There you go.
Oh, cool. All right. All right.
Good job.
So here, thank
Well,
you. So
yes.
back to the one that shows, yeah. So that's an interesting, it's not quite high noon.
And which one is Eversource pushing?
The one, 4,000, I believe.
This one. Not pushing, they're offering.
Yeah, it's what they can offer.
Yeah, it's what they can offer. They're not able to offer anything else.
Yeah, you're right.
So, maybe on to 8. Just again, to think about, the ways that we can impact light, the optimization of light quality in our town, to take all these things into account. Our town hired RTE Energy Solutions for a streetlight audit and an inventory reconciliation of existing streetlights, and to provide design and product recommendation for optimal lighting in town. Some of you might remember that we came to town meeting in June and asked for the funding to do this, and you gave it to us, and it's been done. I mean, that's in motion right now. You can go on, I think, to slide 9. By undertaking this review, committee and select board members could identify a number of our existing 67 streetlights to consider for elimination, which gives us an opportunity to save energy and reduce electricity and maintenance costs immediately. Oh yeah, here's about the intensity. So the fixtures that they selected that we don't know, we haven't finalized any decisions like that, as Pam pointed out. But this does allow for a different selection of wattages. You could possibly look at a higher wattage for some streets or areas of town, and a lower wattage for others. Okay. So, slide 9. Oh, this is an example of an RTE, what they do. They determine the wattage and light patterns based on actual light fixture locations and make recommendations to us. This is their Shelburne project. Go on to the next slide. Yeah. I like this. Just keep remembering this in being able to reduce the number of streetlights in town, as well as installing lower wattage shielded and dimmable LED bulbs, is really important for dark sky considerations as well. Dark skies are a concern for human health, wildlife, insects, and birds. The disruption of circadian rhythms and migration and insect life and more have an impact on us all. So this is a really great potential byproduct of this entire review, that we can increase our own dark skies compliance in town. We can go on to the next one, I think. Yeah. So this is a little review of our existing streetlights. Right now they're a mix, mostly of Eversource high pressure sodium, but there are some LEDs around. You probably might even know where they are. There's 67 of them, although some people say 66. And some people say 68, but I'm pretty sure it's 67. That's all going to come out in the wash. Right now we pay an annual energy fee and a monthly rental fee per light fixture. And in 2024 we paid $9,000 a year for our streetlights. There's a few lights in town that you might be aware of that are actually private. There's one on Greg's Road. There's one on, I think, Bardwell Ferry Road. And the lights in the school parking lot belong to the school district. not the light at the corner where you turn to go to school, but the lights in the parking lot are streetlights. What else? So working with RTE for inventory audit and reconciliation between, did I already talk about this? Yeah, between existing light poles and Eversource inventory. Members of the select board and the sustainability committee spent many hours, and Veronique did too, visiting and checking streetlights and applying agreed upon criteria for each assessment. I'm sure a number of you noticed the yellow ribbons tied around different poles in town. So you can go on to the next one. So the criteria we used to identify potential streetlights to eliminate was reached with the help of our public safety departments. And it included looking at intersections, crosswalks, sidewalks, parking lots, public buildings, state highway, and a few other circumstances. So this is what we've done so far as a committee. I don't think I need to read this aloud, but this is what we've done so far. And maybe we're at the end of my little part of it. This is the next steps, which I touched on a little bit. We're going to apply for this grant. We will open up maintenance to local contractors via bid. Shelburne is doing the same thing. We might be able to partner with them on this. The final lighting design will be based on recommendations from the consultant and in consultation with them. This is what Shelburne selected, the 2200 lights. And the next thing we have to do in terms of moving the project along is provide a list of lights to be eliminated prior to final design. I think that might be the end of my slides. Yeah, that's the end of my slides. So I'm going to turn this over to Chris to talk a little bit more about the actual process and specific lights that we're thinking might be.
I'm sorry, Veronique, which browser do you use?
You're looking for your maps?
Yes.
And so we do have forms here that you can fill out if you have a particular concern about a particular light.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, so I
That
think we
we're
have to
gonna
stop sharing.
Collect,
All right,
but you can
so
also
now
send them
share.
to us via email
And
at sustainability@Conway.
And then the people on Zoom can see this.
Whatever our local email.
Yeah.
But we're asking that all this be turned into us
Sorry?
before the end of February.
Are you able to
We have a
screen that?
turnaround.
Do what screen?
Like, make
Full
it,
screen it.
Oh, full screen.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's
I
gonna be
don't know
time
if you
at
can
the end of
get rid
Chris's
this bit right
presentation
here.
to talk about specific
Like
lights.
And you know what? I need that bit actually.
Okay.
I'm sitting down.
Hang on a second. Can folks in the, on Zoom just let us know if you can now see the screen with the map? Okay, great. I think I saw Linda say yes. Thank you. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Veronique.
Okay, so I believe there's 66 lights in Conway. One of the RTE lights looked like it was a duplicate that was on Baptist Hill, I believe, that showed as a duplicate. So what I did is I just pinpointed each location of light, added it to this map so it's a little easier view for us to see. As you can see, there are quite a large amount of lights in Conway. Just to give you an idea, our neighbor Ashfield, which is a very similar size and community and similar layout, has 18 lights.
And has 116 going through it as well.
Yes, and more businesses.
Yeah.
So what I did with this is I broke it down into 3 categories. Now, as we stated before, there are private lights. There's only 3 private lights. You'll see 2 are very far up north. 1 is in the Wesco parking lot. Outside of that, the way I divided it up is, like we said, if there were lights that are near a crosswalk, have a sidewalk near a business or a major intersection, those lights are marked as crosswalk intersection lot, which you'll see in green. And the lights in red are lights that don't meet that criteria. So as you can see, the vast majority of lights that do meet the criteria are along 116 and along Whately Road. The lights that do not are all over the place. I can share this map, we can probably share it on the website.
I was gonna say, we
Yeah.
can share this with everybody after the meeting.
Anybody that has a link to it can go on there, you can zoom in, you can see exactly where it's at. You can go to the Google Earth view if you want a little better view of it. But again, as you can also see, many of these lights that we have are antiquated. They were originally put in because our elementary school was in a different location. It's now, I'm sorry, what is it called? Where the elementary school?
Oh, the Shangshan?
Yes,
It's the Tibetan temple.
right. So that is right here on Schoolhouse, aptly named Schoolhouse Road and Pleasant. So again, many of these lights that we see are passed for school children back before we had,
Dairy farms.
yeah, back before we didn't have to, you know, either wind a flashlight or have gigantic D-cell batteries in a flashlight. So again, we can share this map to the website so everybody can see. That's basically all I wanted to go over. If anybody would like me to zoom in on a certain area, please let me know. You'll also see there's a lot of lights that are very close to each other. That's mainly on 116 for good reason. But again, the lights in red did not meet the criteria. So those are the ones that we will be looking at further for review to see if they're a potential for decom. Decommission.
Decommission.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm in the tech business, so. Yes,
And also, some of the lights have the potential to be shielded.
Right.
that's correct. As we stated before, we can add shielding, so if you have a particular street light that is invasive to a person's house, but you still need it to light up a certain area, you can shield it towards the person's house and have it still lit up on the backside, or depending on which side you need. So unless there's anything else, I was going to open it up to questions, but I do ask again, there are rules that we have for public comment. I'm not going to get into those. I think all of us here can, you know, talk how we, speak to what we want to speak to. What I do ask is that you just please state your name and street that you live on. Either one.
Jane Roy Brown, Parsons Road. I was just checking on Beth's slide. There was something on the last slide that talked about mass dark skies, and I wondered if there is a state ordinance that governs.
There is not. There is not. There was some proposed legislation. We actually followed it out at the close of last year's legislature to see if it was going to be moved forward. Sia can speak to that a
Well,
little bit.
just that it didn't make it through the last legislative session, but it was filed by Senator Cream, and she does plan to refile it, probably has refiled it.
There are rules though to be a dark sky community. The lights have to be a certain lumen, they have to be a certain hue. You can only have so many.
Thank you.
But the lights that we've been looking at are considered dark sky compliant.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go
Mark.
ahead, Mark, you're next.
I'm Mark Silverman, I live at 59 Elm Street. I'm going to use the example of my street to say that, the criteria that you're using should be expanded a bit depending on certain situations. On Elm Street is a street that is constantly having people walking their kids, bike riding, running, and that does not have any sidewalks. It's not on an intersection except at the end of it, or either end of it. But also, we have trouble with people using it as a shortcut, bypassing much of the Shelburne Road. And in fact, GPS now recommends to people, it guides them to use it as a shortcut, even though it's not a shortcut. And it's incredibly misguided, but it doesn't follow the criteria they were listing. But it's really dangerous.
That sounds like the same scenario as Emerson Hollow, they have the same problem.
There are a number of, but it's more so because it's paved,
Mhm.
I think. But at the same time, I know people use it as a shortcut getting to the post office, which is very silly and dangerous. But it means that, you know, having the streetlights is really important for safety, particularly on specific situational streets. And so I'll speak to mine because I see it all the time. And it's a real issue in terms of people speeding. Sometimes they'll go 50 miles an hour, which is, you know.
I should have
Crazy.
mentioned that we have these up
Yeah,
front.
I agree.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
please
Beth
right
talked
now.
about that.
Got it,
Yeah.
okay. So for everybody else, we have these up front. If you have any concerns, any questions on a particular street light or on a particular street, please write it down so we can review that.
So I'll turn that in
Yes.
as well. But I just
Well-
want to consider that, you know, in terms of it not being as simple as, you know, saying if it's a, you know, place with sidewalks. That doesn't mean, in some ways, that's less important, I think. If you have a well-traveled street that does not have sidewalks, that needs the lights that much more because you're not people off the road, in this case, they're on the road.
Right, yes, so we do, you can see there's a considerable amount of lights on here. You should see that, I don't know why the number's not showing.
Well, the Elm
Um,
Street ones, I was just trying to figure out where they were there, but I'm pretty sure they're, you know, they're the red ones. Those are the ones you're considering removing, right?
If we,
Yes, so the ones that we are, again, considering to look at are the ones that don't meet that criteria.
Right.
So, you know, obviously feedback will help in the decision-making process. But yes, so these are the two that we have on Elm, I believe, yep.
Do you want to click further down and see?
And then that was your house?
Yeah, that one.
Right
is
here?
mine, Yes.
Yep.
In fact, you know, my bedroom faces the same years as this.
Yeah.
But I still feel very strongly it's important to have that be lit up.
Okay. It is really important for us to get the feedback of
Yes.
the homeowner whose property or adjacent of the streetlight. I think that is very important because you're the one who's going to be affected the most.
Right.
So,
Well, particularly if it's really bright, but I've been dealing with it for years and it's really been helpful in terms of that safety issue.
right. Yes.
So, just to clarify, this part of the meeting is not for us to bring up issues of individual streetlights. You don't
No.
want to hear those questions or that input here? You want us
No,
to
yeah,
write
No,
them?
yeah, no,
We'll
we
talk
do.
about that here. This
Oh,
is an
okay.
open forum.
Particularly if it
Yeah,
affects the
we do.
criteria they're
Yeah.
using too.
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
All right, just for clarity. Okay, thank you.
but, and you can submit a form too.
Yeah, it's best to definitely submit the form. Of course, we are
Just
recording this
to
meeting.
document that.
Yeah, we can go back to the meeting, but it's best to submit the form.
Hi, Kate French, expanding on my colleague here.
Yes.
This whole downtown is a fabulous place to take walks. And we see it on Delabar, we see it on Baptist Hill, we see it, you go across, who can walk across a covered bridge? Huh? How lucky are we?
Mhm.
So people are going that way, going around. The lights really make it so when it's starting to get dark earlier, we can continue to do that. And a lot of people do it to stay healthy. It's also, they have dogs, and I happen to give biscuits to dogs, and so these make stops at my house, and I would hate for that to stop. And I remember yours. So that's what I wanted to say, that this is a walkaholic place, and the lights really help us keep it going. Just consider it.
Yes, and I will, you know,
'Cause
this
you
is,
walk.
this is, yes, and my dog loves you.
I know.
So my neighbor was trying to get here today because I know her and I have opposing views on when a light is needed and when it's not. And she also loves to walk at night, especially walk her dogs at night, but doesn't like to have a headlamp with her, right? I personally think that is not only dangerous to her and the dogs, but to anybody driving that can't see them. So I can totally understand wanting a lit path, but I do feel that in the best interest of safety for people that are walking at night, especially with their dogs, it is a good idea to not just have either reflecting clothing, but to have a headlamp on. Our streets are dark with or without the lights. And a lot of these lights that you'll see on a lot of these walking paths, like the street I'm on Orchard, there's a long distance between one light to another light. It's gonna be dark. So what are people doing then? if they don't have lights. We're not gonna add lights, just so people can.
That
Right.
wasn't what I thought.
Right, but that's the thing also, is I totally understand that,
They have little flashlights now.
yes.
That's what I see.
Yeah, and there's, Shelburne, I think, had even showed how there's these new things that you put on the front that glow out. They're almost like an iPad type thing, but just a light. Anyway, that has, my neighbor brought that up since she can't be here. I do want to mention that she said the same thing.
Thank you.
Yes, okay.
So, thank you for all your work. I didn't realize how long this has been going on for you guys, but thank you
This
for
is
all
Sue
that work.
McFarland.
Sue McFarland, yes.
Sue McFarland, 104 Academy Hill Road. So I have like a couple questions. One is, has the repositioning of some lights been considered at all? So for instance, instead of eliminating, all the lights in an area, is there a way to take a look, has the committee taken a look at this to see? I think it was brought up that the parking area over here is not lit up by a light. And then there's also a very sharp corner that's right there, where it would be probably fairly good to have a light. Is there a way that we could, shut down 2 lights, but put one up where it would cover both areas? Have those kind of scenarios been looked at?
We haven't looked into adding lights. That is.
I'm not saying adding.
It's a good question about if the arm can be moved.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, it's just a head, right? The light is a head. I don't know if the arms on the poles can be moved or not. That's a very good question, especially for the
I'm not
parking lot.
talking about, I should have clarified myself. I'm talking about moving poles.
Oh,
Moving poles so that you can get more out of one light than what you got out of 2. You know what I'm saying?
I do. That has not, let me just show you. I did write down some clusters too, because there are areas with clusters such as Shelburne, the Water 116 Shelburne and Baptist meet. As you can see that there's 5 really lights all right here, where probably 2 could do it. I mean, that would be great, but I don't think that's an option right now. We definitely did not look into that. We'd have to work with Eversource. I don't know how expensive that would be.
I don't know either. I
But-
don't know. We can certainly bring it up with the design consultants.
It would be, I would feel more comfortable if someone at least asked the question. If you don't ask the question, you don't know the answer,
Oh,
right?
we could definitely ask the question.
I mean, in the
question.
long term, we're talking about, the fact that we don't have a school up there anymore, so we're getting rid of all of these lights. But there may be other things in town where things have sprung up that might benefit from, okay, so the light over here, it's just not quite reaching over to this area. If we move it, 25 feet, will it work better for us?
Mhm.
Can we get more out of one light than we could, out of no lights or 2 lights? The other question I have is about the maintenance, and you're talking about, going out to bid with the
Yeah.
contractors.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's a relatively new kind of effort. Are there actually contractors that do that?
Yes.
This work in here?
Yeah, there's plenty.
There are.
This is how a lot of towns in Massachusetts do it,
Okay.
actually.
And is it local folks, or are we gonna be paying for somebody to come in from like the middle of the state to come and do it?
Does anybody on the committee want
Yes,
to
so,
speak?
I mean, RTE could technically do it, but we'd like somebody local. Ashfield already, they purchased their own lights too. Ashfield did. Yeah,
Shelburne.
we just met with them, I'm sorry, I'm giving you new info.
Oh,
We
you
just met
are?
with them last week and
Oh.
they told us that they did the same thing and they have a local
Yeah,
contractor.
yeah.
So
you
we
need a
look to
licensed-
share.
You need a licensed electrician to do it with a bucket truck. The actual thing though is once you switch over to these LED lights, they need very little maintenance, very little maintenance. There's some figure that we got, which I'm really sorry I don't have. But first of all, they last so much longer than HPS lights, LED lights, as you all might be aware in your own homes, how much longer they last. But they need very little maintenance, except there's the possibility during the first year that maybe 1 or 2 of them is not working, and then you need somebody to come and take a look at that. Shelburne, I think, opted for RTE to do the maintenance through the first year, but then it's gonna go to a local contractor. And then you need a licensed electrician and a bucket truck, that's what you need. This is the primary reason why it would be much more expensive to go with the Eversource option, even if Eversource had fabulous range of choices with the bulbs, which they do not right now. But if we went with their option, there's a rental charge that is, we have it, we're not gonna, it's high monthly per light, regardless of whether you need the maintenance or not. It's a big charge.
And
Thanks, Sue.
my final thing is I want to make a pitch for keeping some of the lights on Academy Hill Road.
Yeah.
For the same reason that Kate brought up. I mean, we have a lot of walkers. I know, we all have headlights, and as you can see, I have my huge flashlight that just made a big noise before when it fell over. But it's also a place of, like, I think of it as sanctuary. Like, if I see a car coming, I try and get underneath that streetlight so I'm visible, because there are people, that are coming up, and, of course, nobody's out there at really 1 o'clock but in the morning, but, if I'm walking home from the library or something, and it's dark, or if kids are riding their bikes up after, from the field or whatever, I would hope that we could at least keep some lights there. And one of them is basically on the corner by Hawks's here, because that has a bend there.
Mhm.
And then the other one is at the intersection of Pleasant Street and Academy Hill Road, because that comes right down to a T.
That's probably one we have marked for special shielding or something, right?
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, so a number of these lights that the alarmingly red looking lights, we have also noted as candidates for shielding, keeping but shielding, or keeping and having it be a lower wattage than the ones through the main part of town.
Oh, I'm sorry, this gentleman had his hand up first.
Hi, Jim Bosman, 71 Academy Hill Road. I've got the one in front of my house there on the bend. So I love to stargaze. I usually set up my telescope here on the tennis court. There's like 12 sodium lights that I can see from the tennis court when the leaves are off the trees. I don't enjoy stargazing as much when the leaves are off the trees. I would stargaze from my front yard, but there's a street light. Although right now it's broken most of the time, so it's actually pretty nice,
It's like
nice
a
and dark
purple
out there.
red.
So I brought some brochures from the International Dark Sky Association.
Thank you.
I did a tour of dark sky compliant lighting with Professor Lowenthal at Smith. He's really the big proponent of the dark sky compliant lighting down there. They've got a telescope on top of one of their buildings, and he does his best to work with the campus, and they have to balance a lot of safety concerns for, foot traffic and so forth there at Smith. I'm excited about the initiative. I think it's great. I'm disappointed that that the lights are around 116, they're all still green, but maybe with the shielding is such, down here in the ball field, this is very selfish. I want to stargaze on the tennis court, and all those street lights make it not so great for stargazing. I could go, somewhere else, but, and I'll submit my notes here, but, I'm excited that Academy Hill has all these ones slated for removal, and especially the one across the street from my house. And if they're not removed, I would hope that the shielding could really be strong to direct that light.
Well, as you see with the phosphorus bulbs now, it's a full bulb, so the light sprays out. And that's why we're also looking at this design where
Different options.
it'll actually focus the light down instead of out.
My only concern with that is the ones that are up along 116 above the park, they're probably 60 feet above the tennis court. And even if it's got a shielding that, you know, I'm still gonna be looking up underneath that shielding,
Walk up
so.
the street to
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
field.
Yes, well, that's, if
That
that one
light's going
goes,
out.
if that one goes,
If-
then I
if-
could go start gazing
Yes.
up
If
there,
it's
yeah.
an LED light, it's more than likely the 147 watt, which I was told by the lineman that installed it, they use at airports.
I don't think
What's
it's
that?
They use those lights at airports.
What are you referring to though?
The photo I was showing you of the light on Maple and the one shining in my house, they use those at
Yeah,
airport
we don't
parking
need-
lots.
I know.
We
we're-
could
we're
see
definitely
your
not-
light from our house.
Yeah, exactly.
That's across the river.
But I'm
Right.
even talking about the sodium lights that are there today, they're no good for
Right.
stargazing.
Well,
So,
all of us are gonna have differing opinions on what's needed and what's not.
yeah, and I'm giving my opinion, so.
I will say the way that Northampton does their lights, where and a citizen can write in to either modify or remove. To remove a light, you have to be the resident that lives where the light is located or closest to. To add, you have to be, you have to get approval from the location where the resident lives in 500 feet in each direction. So, again, personally, for me, if I have a light in front of my house and I have somebody else who walks down there and tells me, I don't care, I want to keep this light, they're only gonna have an effect of that light for 15, 30 seconds every night if they walk every night, where for me it's dusk to dawn every night. So that's why I think it's very important that the homeowner that lives with the light in front of them definitely write down their preference, either way.
Okay. So I got just a couple other things. You said you can control can you control the intensity? No, you can choose different
You can
fixed
control
wattages for a given
yeah.
location, but you
Yeah.
can't
You can't
tweak
adjust
it once it's there.
No, not once it's there.
And then, do these have the
can dim it.
timers where you can
See
like,
here.
say it goes, you can set it to turn off after,
Well, my
certain
understanding was
time
that
of night?
i-
Like,
if we take control of the light poles, then there is, and we have the capacity to turn them off or on when we want. For instance, so I believe in Hadley, it's, for whatever reason, their town government, the guy who manages the transfer station, or it was maybe it was some random position, but that was the guy who was responsible,
Hadley.
like, he was able to, I mean, but they have that control, that's the point.
Yeah.
We don't have that control right now, because Eversource,
This is a
but will this
possibility.
program, will this initiative allow us to get the lights, like if there's, like during the migration, right, when the birds are migrating,
Mhm.
like it might be a good thing to have the streetlights off at night during the big bird migrations. Is that something that we could do with this particular
Not with this.
idea?
There is a functionality that you could upgrade to
I
with a control system that you can turn lights on or off. And that would be something that Erica was speaking to.
right, so we don't have that potential right now.
We don't
We
have the
could have
potential
that
right now.
potential if
We could, it would add a great deal of cost to the project.
Ah, okay.
And I know you have a question, so I just want to show real quick. There is that option, it is much more expensive. You basically put a unit on top here that connects in, and what we were told is it can be used, say if a child goes missing, and you want to turn all the lights on in the entire town to the brightest level. You're able to do that basically like an app, and the same thing for turning them off.
Yeah.
It is considerably
But that's
more
not gonna be
expensive.
part of our.
Not this
our
initial.
initiative. Okay.
It's something you can
That's
add
good to
on.
understand,
I
just,
just-
that's
It's
fine.
Sorry,
something
just
we
want to let
could-
you know Grant does have a question
Okay,
here.
it
Oh,
is something
just so we
that's
know.
part of the larger question of when we go for this project. proposal, it would be something that would be considered, certainly, because it makes it easier to dim and, not dim the lights, keep the lights dim. See
Yeah,
it.
we'll be getting recommendations from RTE, so we'll know what the options are and what the cost is potentially.
Yeah.
So that's when I think those decisions can be made.
Let's
And
go
I'm sorry,
on.
before we get to the gentleman on Zoom, you've been patiently waiting, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Marcia Lewis, I'm on Graves Road. I was just wondering, you had a bunch of these lights that you want to shut down, can they be shut down, just so everybody can see what it looks like with those
Not
particular
currently,
No.
lights?
And we have to purchase these.
No, I know,
Right.
not, I
You
just
mean
mean the
existing
lights-
lights? Can we turn the lights
existing
off?
lights that we have now, just so you can shut off the ones that you were
No
considering.
lineman would have to come out and do that.
And do all that.
Yeah,
So you don't get a feel for what it would look
right,
like.
right,
No.
unfortunately not.
And my other question was, I do have a light outside my house.
Right.
And I can live without it probably, but this is just, if I decided I wanted it, can that light be converted to a private light?
Well,
That's a very good question.
I don't know. It wouldn't be, we wouldn't be purchasing a fixture for a private light.
Right. No, totally my house.
I don't know.
I would
how-
have to ask Eversource, but I don't see why it couldn't be transferred.
We will
Because
ask
you
Eversource.
said there's one on Graves Road.
But again, I just
And I'm
wanna
like, that's on the
remind you
telephone.
that they will replace, if that bulb goes out, they'll replace it with an LED.
They have replaced it since I
Yeah.
lived there, and it was probably less than 2 years ago, and it's not, it's kind of orangey, it's not like yours.
That's a phosphorus.
We
That
had
is
asked
phosphorus.
them, when we started this process, I don't know how long ago that was, but we had asked them to please not replace with LEDs, and they said they
Okay.
would try to use used equipment while we were going through this.
So
So maybe
it.
that was,
Maybe
I have no
that was
idea,
it,
but.
yeah.
if you had had a light that you were paying for yourself, I have no idea how you would have any agency over the kind of light that would be in there. It would be what they provide to everyone, I presume.
Well, okay, you said I know there's another light on Graves Road, and you
Right.
mentioned it, and it was privately owned. It's
Yeah.
on a telephone pole. Can you just put your own light on a telephone pole?
Well, are there people in town people in their yards have their own lighting on their property? I don't know how to respond.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I
my
don't know the
neighbors have
answer to this.
floodlights that are brighter than any street light out
Right, but I
there.
don't think you could put a private light on a public utility pole.
Yeah.
I don't think that would
Probably
be.
not.
But then how are they doing it on Graves Road?
I do
That's-
not know.
That's a telephone.
I don't know.
I would assume it's grandfathered in. That's the
Okay.
assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah, from a farm.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lights that are around our town that were associated with farms.
Yeah, but that one isn't.
I don't,
Do you know,
I'm
Russ,
sorry,
like
I
the one on-
don't know.
We just, it's on our bill.
It just is there, yeah, so it must have been grandfathered in,
So,
right.
They haven't
makes
changed the
sense.
bulb recently, so.
Can you imagine that?
We'll see.
Gentleman
Okay,
online, I'm
Grant.
sorry.
Online?
We're ready for you, Grant. Thank you for waiting.
We're gonna take a Zoom question.
Thanks. I'm Grant Engel, 49 Whately Road, and I really appreciated, I think it's a great presentation. I particularly appreciated Chris's picture of what he experiences, because that's what I experienced at 49 Whately Road. A LED bulb was replaced in late October, early November, and it shines right through my house. And so my big question, so I think you're doing a great job. My question is, are there areas of Shelburne Falls where these bulbs, particularly bulbs you've chosen, are already installed so we could go and view them?
No.
Then I'd suggest, could we get some sort of demonstration where people could take a look at them before they go in?
I don't know how far along
Pepperell?
Shelburne is.
Go to Pepperell.
That's a stretch.
I know. I
Yeah,
don't.
It would be great, it would be great because It'd just be great to be able to see what it looks like. This LED here across from my house, which is right near the church, has completely changed the character of the neighborhood. Because the old sodium vapor lamps are down the street, 2 of them, which have a very subdued light. And so I'm glad you're reducing the Kelvin rates, very important. But it'd be great to be able to take a look at one before it's installed.
Yeah, unfortunately, everything is Eversource now, so even the LED are a much higher wattage than we would recommend, and the hue is blue, which is completely not recommended at all. So,
Right.
We do have images, though, on slides, don't we, that,
For Pepperell?
for Pepperell, yeah.
I don't have it right now.
I know we do, that's maybe something we can put on.
Yeah, maybe we can put
online,
it on the
too.
website.
I'll put the link to the
Great.
map on the website, and we'll include those images.
Yeah. Was anybody else on the, thanks,
I
Fran.
think they're good, but
Thank you.
Bob's been waiting.
So I'm a little confused.
Bob Armstrong.
Bob Armstrong, Thompson Road. There are no streetlights at my end of town. But that's okay, but it's hard for me to use this information. I don't know how you're using it. And I don't really know, I don't understand really where we are. I hear Jim say the ones that are slated for removal. That sounds like you're pretty far along. Are the green ones the ones that you're keeping and the red ones that are slated for removal, or was that part of the presentation?
So I just made it very simple. It was criteria. Is it on a main, is it on the main thoroughfare, which is only 116, right? Is there a sidewalk? Is there a crosswalk? Is there a major intersection? If they're green, we're not really looking into those. Everything else is red, those are the ones we're looking into.
So another thing that would be really helpful to me is if I think about this light fixture, the one you're showing us, and you showed us a picture of its focus downward. If you could, around those green dots, put a circle of how big on the ground would be lit up. And then, do you have an idea for the distance from one light lit up area to the next? Might there be 10 yards or 20 yards of darkness? And to have some criteria like that would help to create a map that would show this is what the dots of light are going to look like.
One of the images on the slide that you saw where it was Route 2 going into Shelburne is that exact.
Yeah.
That you're going to get from this
We're gonna
RT.
get-
From
yeah,
RT, yes.
RT.
So the next step in the process that I understand, as I understand it, is that we are submitting a list of lights that we want to keep and lights that we want to eliminate. And then they're going to come back to us with their thoughts on that as well. And then once that list is finalized, then they're going to submit to us a design and recommendations for particular, the options for fixtures, the options for bulbs, and the options for wattages that they're recommending to us. And then we're going out for a grant, and then we'll see.
But I think to answer Bob's
Oh,
question,
sorry.
like what was marked in red on that map, like we haven't flagged anything for elimination. What we've flagged is what is questionable, and that's why we're having this forum.
Yeah.
Like just because there's a yellow ribbon around a pole doesn't mean like we're taking down that light. That's just
My
those are the
first
ones that
reaction
we-
was you should get rid of all the green ones. And make the red ones lower power and shielded, and I mean, do we really need them along the roads?
Well, there is, do we need them on the state highway, you mean?
Yeah.
If you want my opinion, no, but,
Okay.
but.
Yes, I want your opinion.
Well, I mean, like, so you're on 116, right? You're
With or
coming
without a
off.
sidewalk.
Right, well,
With or without a sidewalk.
well, that's the thing, like, we do have a sidewalk, but you're going down 116, you pass Neighbors. How many lights are there, street lights, from Neighbors till Conway?
None.
I have
None,
no idea.
absolutely none, right? And then after Conway, you leave Conway, there's one light on the way out of Conway at a farm, right? You leave there, you get to Ashfield, how many lights? No. But, you know, there's foot
But
traffic.
your
There's
map
foot
showed
traffic.
them every
There's foot
5
traffic
feet.
downtown.
In
There's
Conway,
traffic.
in Conway.
There are some places as you're coming through town where it's confusing. It's, you know, it's steep curves. There's a lot of stuff coming in. Down a hill is dangerous when you're coming into a state highway. Just saying. There's a reason, in my opinion, to have lights in downtown Conway. Who's next?
Hi, I'm Deborah Horton. I live on Main Street.
Yes.
Right next to the river, number 53. And it's very interesting listening to everybody talk about where they don't want lights. I just wanted to share that when I moved to Main Street, I expected that I would have to deal with light in a way that I never have before in my life. I lived in Ashfield and I was not on Main Street. So yeah, when the leaves are off of the trees, I have to shut my room darkening curtain at night because my bedroom is on that side. But other than that, I feel like it's part of living in the village, and I see how well traveled those sidewalks are, and it's a wonderful thing. Right now, there are 2 lights out, and it is a black hole when you are walking on Main Street at night. I walked here. I would never get in my car to come here. But there's this black hole that exists, and you can literally kind of trip because it goes from being lighted to being dark. So one comment I need to make is I love this whole project and I love the direction that we are going in. But I am very fearful that we're not getting replacement lights on Main Street. For those lights that are out, I'm feeling like until this project is done, we're not getting lights. And it's a problem. You've put fear in me in thinking that if Eversource comes out here, they're going to replace with something that's going to be extremely distasteful. But to be honest with you, I would be willing to deal with distasteful rather than no light. It's actually a problem out there. I don't even have a light to put on that side of my house is 200 years old. It's the oldest house on Main Street, or the oldest residence on Main Street. And I don't even have electricity on that side of the ground floor to have an outside light, which has never been an issue because Main Street is more than well lit up until the lights go out.
Yeah, definitely write down on one of these forms.
Yeah, here. Do you have the forms?
I'll get
Okay.
one
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'll
so-
do that.
So I understand that. We had, so the problem with having Eversource do it right now is they will replace it with an LED fixture, a whole new fixture, and then when we buy it, it's gonna be that much more expensive. So we had asked them to please hold off, and they had said, well, if we can, we'll replace with used equipment, but
I heard you say that.
that's not what they did. And, on Whately Road and on Orchard Street, and they just put in these intense,
Well,
So-
I'll buy more solar lights,
know.
but that's what I
Yeah.
have done, is just put out a whole bunch of solar lights, so that we can see. And it doesn't help much.
Sorry, good question, Grant. So I will put Grant is asking how the folks on Zoom fill out the forms. We'll put those on the website as well for you to be able to
Or
fill
just
out.
email us with the
Oh, yeah,
information.
that's true. We're sending them all to my email, right? To
Yes.
town admin. Oh, yeah.
When you said sustainability,
Oh,
I did.
Yeah, I think it says town ad, yeah.
not happening.
Yeah.
Virginia.
I'm Virginia Holmes. I live on Orchard Street. More broadly, on behalf of all the residents of the town, I want to express in general that I favor keeping all existing lights, adding some that I'm aware of places where I'd like to see them added, and absolutely none removed. So that's my broader stance on behalf of the whole town. In terms of my own particular, okay, I do a lot of walking, including a lot of walking at night, including a lot of walking handling 2 dogs simultaneously. I'm not a flashlights person. I'm not going to become one. I like doing the night vision adaptation thing with my eyes. I do want to know what is the procedure. I don't know if these forms that you're talking about are the procedure, but the procedure for identifying lights with poles that have the yellow on them, that we are particularly interested in keeping the light there. So I want to know what the procedure is for that. I'm very concerned about that. There are cases where there's a very crucial light that currently happens to be out, and then there's a yellow ribbon around that, a yellow ribbon around the next one in that direction, a yellow ribbon around the next one in that direction, and a yellow ribbon around the next one in that direction. And yet this crucial one in the middle has a yellow ribbon around it. So anyway, I just want to know how to proceed to save some of these lights. I also want to mention that I had a rather serious injury walking at night near a place where I've long identified that I would like to add a new light, which happens to be the sharp curve where the DeMaios come off of Main Poland Road, the DeMaios driveway. If there was a light there, it would have saved me from this injury that was down near the end of Recourse property, where I fell into the 10-foot deep culvert. It's 5 foot on one side and it's 10 foot on the other. I thought I was over on the 5-foot side, and I stepped backwards from it and fell into the 10-foot. This is just in November, and I got six contact injuries, including one that required an X-ray. Luckily, nothing. The hand, it seemed broken, but it wasn't broken. So, anyway.
I'm sorry to hear that.
So my general message is keep the lights, don't get rid of them. But in particular, how do I? For my own little local neighborhood places, how do I advocate for particular lights?
The form.
If you could fill out this form and turn it in tonight, or email the information to the administrator. I'm sorry I misspoke. I sent it to me, but I'd rather go to you. Yeah, that would be.
But
that
again,
would be
by
the
the
best.
end of February, you said.
Yeah, if you could do it by the end of February, that would be very helpful to us.
Yeah, because we have to get our information to RTE by the beginning of March to be able to, so they can do their work so that we can apply for the grant on April 4th. So we're kind of up against a timeline for the grant.
If I may add, to undermine myself,
Okay.
I am an animal rights advocate and a wildlife advocate, and I'm sorry I missed the beginning of the presentation, but if any part of it was on behalf of wildlife and having less lights on behalf of wildlife, I do understand that argument.
That is, I mean, our objectives were, our project, we were given the charge, the Sustainability Committee was given the charge of looking at these lights in town, and to save energy, to save money, and to increase the optimal quality of lighting in town, which included the possibility of becoming dark sky compliant. So yes.
And this is a
life
recorded
piece
meeting.
of it.
You can always go back and watch. I'm sorry I spoke for you earlier because I didn't know if you were going to get here. And we were talking about dog walking and walking past, so I did speak for you earlier.
Yeah. Although you didn't name my name.
I said neighbor.
Neighbor. So yeah, this is a recording and it's going to be posted on the website. Is there anybody who wants to speak who has not yet spoken?
I can also
Well, let's just wait to see. Is there anybody? Okay. Why don't you? Good. Anybody online? Chat. Okay.
I just also want to say, I do favor cost savings that are unrelated to removing lights. Like if the whole thing about moving it from the private sector company to the public sector town is going to be a cost savings thing, then fine, I favor that. Just not the removal of lights.
Anybody else? I just want to say thank everybody for coming out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There was a lot of work put together to do this, and all of us are volunteers, so we really do appreciate the public having not just awareness but also participating. So thank everybody for joining us.
And I want to say one more thing, which is that the group of us here, raise your hand, people, We, all of you,
Oh,
we
who went out and did
visited,
the
we have
reverend?
personally visited each of these, all these lights to take a look at them in the field, so to speak.
At night.
At
It was really
night,
cold.
during the day, tried to speak to homeowners if we saw them. So we're aware of some of the circumstances that you're raising. It's not that we're unaware and uncaring, we don't really care.
Oh, we got a comment. Thanks to the Sustainability Committee for all their great work.
Keep that in mind at town meeting.
Thank you so much.
Eric, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.